Part 229. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2281. Chapter 2281. I only want her. A chill rushed into her body, so cold that MRSMO couldn't help but shiver. Why, do you want to slap that slap back for this woman? MRSMO was scared and angry, and she shouted louder and louder to cover up her panic. Mo Shixio just looked at her coldly and said nothing. MRSMO felt more and more guilty. But she felt that she had done nothing wrong at all. She slapped that foxy boy. Is this serious? Can't she fight? The younger generation has done something wrong. What should I do if the elder should teach me a lesson? Shixio, listen to me. You can't be with her. MRSMO felt that her son had been completely bewitched. He was so obsessed with this foxy man now. How could he pay it off in the future? Who knows what kind of things this fox will trick him into in the future? No. She must get this vixen away from her son. Shixio, MRSMO said with a sincere expression on her face, reaching out and grabbing Mo Shixio's arm. Zhongluli will really hurt you. If you are with her, it will destroy you. What mom did everything is for your own good. She can't stay with you anymore. There are many girls who are better than her in this world. You are the eldest young master of the Mo family, and you have a rich and noble status. You don't have to worry about finding someone who matches your conditions. But there is only one Zhongluli in this world. Mo Shixio interrupted her, speaking clearly and affectionately. No matter how good other women are, it has nothing to do with me. I only want her. He made it clear. Also said firmly. That sentence, no matter how good other women are, it has nothing to do with me, I only want her, made Zhongluli, who was leaning in her arms, instantly have red eyes. She raised her head and looked at the man's graceful and strong jaw, and above it, his thin lips, high bridge of nose, and his charming eyes as deep as the ocean. This is a man who is almost perfect in every aspect. This is also a man that any woman will fall in love with when she sees him. This man is now her husband, Zhongluli. This man would say, there is only one Zhongluli in the world, and he would also say, no matter how good other women are, they have nothing to do with me. I only want her. He does not hide his thoughts at all. He cares about her openly. She was worried that he would side with MRSMO. But now, her worries are completely unnecessary. She was even a little ashamed. Why did she think that Mo Shixio might be on MRSMO's side? She knew clearly that there was no way he could do such a thing. Zhongluli was moved to tears, but MRSMO was so angry that her face turned blue and her eyes were on fire. You are so obsessed. MRSMO pointed at him and said angrily. So what if I'm obsessed with ghosts? Mo Shixio said nonchalantly, even if I'm obsessed with ghosts, it's of my own free will. Mom, Luoli is still pregnant. I thought you wouldn't be able to do anything to her no matter what. But you actually hit her. Mo Shixio's voice was calm, but there was no emotion in his eyes. I said, if Luoli is hurt in any way, then our mother-son relationship will end here. You go, and don't come back again. I won't let anyone in. Unless you really realize your mistake and are willing to sincerely change it, we will be strangers when we meet again. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2282. Chapter 2282. If you hurt her, you are hurting me. What? MRSMO's eyes widened instantly and she said in disbelief, what did you say? Do you really want to sever the relationship between mother and son with me for this woman? As soon as Mo Shixio said these words, Zhongluli was also shocked. Sister Lin also had a shocked expression on her face. Only Mo Shixio seemed calm from beginning to end. It seemed that this was a decision he had already made, rather than something he said impulsively. He looked calmly at MRSMO, who was almost going crazy, I didn't do this, it was your choice. I said it a long time ago, I don't expect you to love Woo, but at least you don't do anything to hurt her. Things. She is the person I care about, she is my wife. If you hurt her, you are hurting me. You are the reason why we have come to this point. You are my mother, so I can't return that slap. I can only let Luoli suffer this injustice. But in the future, I will not let the same thing happen again. The second time. You go. After Mo Shixia finished speaking, he stopped looking at MRSMO. He carried Zhang Luli into the study and reached out to close the door. The door to the study room was closed, and MRSMO was blocked out. She stood at the door, her face turning green and white, her body swaying, as if she was about to faint. Sister Lin immediately stepped forward to support her. Madam, are you okay? MRSMO's head was dizzy and she couldn't think for a while. After a while, she slowly regained her balance. She slowly turned her head and looked at Sister Lin, her voice trembling. Did you hear what Shixiu said just now? Sister Lin did not speak. She was here just now, so of course she heard everything. He actually wanted to sever ties with me. MRSMO was so angry that she was shaking all over and extremely sad. Her tears couldn't help but fall down. He even gave up his biological mother for that woman. Shixiu has been the most obedient and filial to me since he was a child. But how did he become like this now? How did my son become like this? What kind of ecstasy soup did that foxy boy pour into him? MRSMO couldn't stop crying. I don't want to live anymore. What's the point of living? I might as well just die. Madam, don't say that. Sister Lin looked at Madam Mo like this and sighed softly. Madam, it's not that the eldest young master has changed, it's that you have to force him to change. As long as you and the young madam can get along, it's okay, the young master will still treat you the same as before. But why do you have to do something to hurt his heart? I'm doing this for his own good. MRSMO felt so wrong that she almost couldn't hold her breath from crying. But what you call good is not what the eldest young master wants. Sister Lin let go and sighed again. Although she knew that MRSMO might not listen, she still gave her final advice. Madam, the eldest young master, you heard what I said just now. It's up to you whether you want to repair your relationship or not. Madam, please think about it carefully and don't make any more mistakes. After Sister Lin finished speaking, she turned around and went downstairs to do something. MRSMO's face was covered with tears and she was still aggrieved. She didn't listen to a word of what Sister Lin just said. At this moment, she did not feel that she should reflect on herself. Her dislike for Zhang Luli only increased a lot. Because in her opinion, the person who caused the relationship between her and her son to be like this was Zhang Luli. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2283. Chapter 2283. I was almost knocked unconscious. Because in her opinion, the person who caused the relationship between her and her son to be like this was Zhang Luli. If it weren't for Zhang Luli, she and her son wouldn't be in such trouble. Her son's bright future will not be ruined just like that. MRSMO looked at the closed door with tearful eyes, unable to stop the hatred in her eyes. Zhang Luli, the bumbling star, robbed her son and ruined her son's bright future. She must get rid of this broom star. No matter what method you use. Asterisk. Mo Shixia closed the door of the study room, took Zhang Luli to the side and sat down. His cold eyes once again fell on the half of Zhang Luli's cheek that had not yet subsided. With distress and self-blame in his eyes, he asked softly, Luoli, does it still hurt? Of course it still hurts. Mrs. Mo's slap was merciless. How can it not hurt if you give it a hard slap? But Zhang Luli saw Mo Shixia blaming himself and didn't want him to blame himself even more, so he shook his head and lied, "It doesn't hurt anymore." "Don't lie to me." Mo Shixia's fair and slender fingers gently touched the area where she was beaten. Zhang Luli frowned tightly, his body trembled, and he cried out in pain. There was a sound. Mo Shixia was so frightened that he immediately took his hand back and did not dare to touch her place again. He frowned and his voice became colder, "You lied to me and said it didn't hurt. Why did you lie to me?" Zhang Luli blinked and gave him an aggrieved look, "It's not that I don't want to see you blaming yourself. I said it hurt, but wouldn't it make you feel even more uncomfortable?" Mo Shixia was stunned for a moment, and then he looked at her with more remorse in his eyes. There is also a little more heartache and love. He was silent for a moment, reached out and touched her head lovingly, sighed softly, and said, "So, you didn't want to see me blame myself, so you lied to me. Then can you tell me the truth now? Do you want to listen to the truth?" Of course. Mo Shixia raised her chin and looked into her eyes with his dark and cold eyes. "Don't lie to me, tell me the truth." "Okay." Zhang Luli nodded, "Since you want to hear the truth is that it hurts, it really hurts. Your mother used force when she hit me, and my mouth was bleeding from her beating. You know, her slap almost knocked me unconscious. Since he wants to hear the truth, she should tell the truth. Anyway, after something like this happened, it was now impossible for her to maintain even a superficial relationship with Mrs. Mo. There is no need for her to worry about anything. She just wanted to tell him everything about Mrs. Mo's evil deeds. Moreover, she wanted to add fuel to the fire. She wanted him to know that Mrs. Mo was an too terrible woman. In this way, even if she had no contact with Mrs. Mo in the future, Mo Shixia would have nothing to say. When Mo Shixia started, the expression on his face was quite calm. As he listened, his expression seemed a little off. The man's face became gloomy a little bit, and the breath on his body became colder. Zhang Luli felt something was wrong, raised his head, and saw that his eyes were already cold, and his eyes could even be described as scary. This was the first time she had seen such a terrifying side of Mo Shixia. The air pressure on his body was so low that Zhang Luli felt a strong oppression. In fact, Mo Shixia is also a person with an extremely strong aura that makes people feel oppressive. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2284. Chapter 2284. Chapter 2284. His attitude satisfied her. But in front of her, he would restrain all his aura and show her his most gentle and comfortable side. So much so that Zhang Luli forgot about it. Actually, Mo Shixia is also a very tempered person. You said she made your mouth bleed. Mo Shixia was silent for a long time, and when he spoke, his voice was low and depressing. Zhang Luli hesitated for a moment and nodded. At that time, her mouth was really bleeding. If that person hadn't been Mo Shixia's mother, no matter who she was, Zhang Luli would have returned that slap. Mo Shixia was silent again. He had an extremely forbearing and remorseful expression on his face. He clearly said that he would protect her and not let her suffer any grievance or harm. But now, the person who hurt her and made her feel wronged was his mother. He couldn't even help her vent her anger. Mo Shixia, please stop blaming yourself. This matter has nothing to do with you. Seeing him lowering his head and saying nothing, Zhang Luli comforted him in turn. This is not your fault. She has the ability to foresee and predict that she will do these things. If you knew she was going to do this but didn't stop her, I would definitely think you were a bastard. But you don't know anything, so it's not your fault, and don't feel sorry for me because of this. Loli. Mo Shixia slowly raised his head, his cold eyes full of annoyance. You don't blame me, but I blame myself. I never thought that the person who hurt you would be my family. Still. My dearest family. You know, I feel very guilty right now. Why do you feel guilty? I told you, it's not your fault. Amo Shixio smiled bitterly and shook his head. My family has hurt you, and I can't vent my anger for you now. If someone else dares to touch you, I can pay it back 1,000 times. But that person is my mother. I understand. Zhang Luli covered his mouth gently. I understand everything. Amo Shixio, even if you want to vent your anger on my behalf, I can't let you attack your mother. Besides, I think he took it out on me, so I'm not angry at all now. I took it out on you. Where did I take it out on you? You tell your mother that you only want me when you want to sever ties with her for me. Amo Shixio, you have done enough for me. How can you tell your mother to sever ties for me? If so, I'm satisfied. At least, this proved that he was on her side. No matter whether he will really sever ties with MRSMO or not. His attitude satisfied her. What she originally wanted was just an attitude from him. Amo Shixia was stunned. Zhang Luli curled her lips, reached out and hooked his neck, lowered his head, and kissed him gently on the lip. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2285. Chapter 2285. Do you want me to swear? Amo Shixia felt the fetal movement as soon as he put his palm on it. The gloom in the man's eyes disappeared, and his eyes suddenly became much softer. Amo Shixia, do you feel it? The baby is kicking me again. Yeah, Amo, she said softly, squinting his eyebrows. I felt it. He just moved. The baby has been kicking me a lot lately, but he's so naughty. Zhang Luli's eyes were soft and his brows were gentle. Do you think he is a brat if he is so naughty? I hope she is a little brat princesses. Amo Shixia smiled and moved his palm gently on her belly. Whether it is a son or a daughter, they are our treasures. Although I also like my daughter very much, if it is a son, I will feel the same pain. I know. Speaking of the child, Zhang Luli's mood improved. She pursed her lips and smiled. I didn't say it was a son so it wouldn't hurt. But I still want a daughter most. Zhang Luli grew up in a family that favored sons over daughters. She really wanted a daughter. If she has a daughter, she will definitely pamper her daughter very much. Those things that she did not get as a child, she would give to her daughter twice as much. She herself did not have a happy and beautiful childhood. She wanted to give double what she did not have to her daughter. Then we can have another child and have both children. Amo Shixia held her in his arms and whispered into her ear, of course, for me, it is enough for us to have one child. It's so hard for you to be pregnant. I don't want you to suffer again. So, everything is based on your own free will. These words of Amo Shixia were not pleasant to say. He really feels that having one child is enough. Raising children is a symbol of their feelings, an experience in life, and the fruit of their love. Giving birth to a child and forming a complete family is like completing a major task in life for him. The task has been completed and one of the goals in life has been achieved. He felt no need to repeat the same task again. What's more, Zhang Luli had a hard time in the first few months of pregnancy, and he saw it all. He was reluctant to let her suffer like that again. Hearing his words, Zhang Luli's heart softened a lot. If she gave up a man like Amo Shixia, she would probably feel uncomfortable for a long, long time. It will be uncomfortable, and I never want to experience a second relationship in my life. She also knew very well that she could not find a man who treated her better than Amo Shixia. Missing him will be an eternal pain in her heart. She is glad that she does not need to make such multiple choice questions yet. She hopes she will never face such a multiple choice question. Amo Shixia. Zhang Luli leaned on his warm chest and called him softly. Huh, the man lowered his head and his voice was very soft. No matter what happens, will you stand by my side? you will always be on the same side as me, right? Of course Mo Shixia replied without any hesitation, you are my wife, of course I will always stand on the same front with you. Real? Do you want me to swear? Forget it, Zhang Luli smiled, with two small pear holes appearing on his lips, I believe you. If you can do it, you can do it without swearing. If you can't do it, no matter how much poison you use, you can do it, it's no use swearing. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2286. Chapter 2286 is someone targeting the Mo family. When a man and a woman are together and their feelings are the strongest and most passionate, don't they swear too many oaths? But those who want to change their minds will eventually change their minds. No matter how many oaths you make, it will not help. If oaths come true so easily, I don't know how many heartless people will die because of their poisonous oaths. Mo Shixiu. Have you really decided to withdraw from the election? Zhang Luli hesitated for a moment, then raised his head and looked at him. You don't want to think about it anymore? In fact, I don't need you to accompany me all the time. I can't do it by myself, I can take care of myself. Moreover, I plan to continue making movies after my baby is 1 year old. When the time comes, I will be busy and will not be at home every day. Zhang Luli never thought that after giving birth to the baby, she would be a good wife and mother at home. She is not such a woman. She is also enterprising. She is still young, and she cannot be trapped at home at such a young age, guarding her husband and children every day. Though she must have loved them too. However, she must also have her own pursuits and dreams. For her, getting married and having children is only a part of her life, not the whole. If Mo Shixia just wanted to spend more time with her and her children at home, she felt it was not necessary. If it is her life dream to make many good movies and become a good director praised by many people, then what about Mo Shixia's life dream? Would it be his life dream to become a one-term president? She is unwilling to give up her dream. Will Mo Shixia be willing to do so? She had no hope that he would be forced to give up because of her. I said, it's not all because of you and the child, Mo Shixia said with a smile, I also have some considerations of my own. In fact, sitting in that position is not necessarily a good thing. Everyone in the family hopes that I can select it, because in this way the Mahist family's position will be more stable. However, too much limelight is actually not a good thing. Zhang Luli was stunned for a moment, and soon heard another meaning from his words. She straightened up from his arms, blinked, and asked curiously, Mo Shixiu, did something happen to you? What did you mean by what you just said? Is someone targeting the Mo family? Mo Shixiu had no secrets in front of her. Everything about his work can be shared with his little wife. He thought for a few seconds and nodded, well, someone is indeed targeting the Mo family. Zhang Luli's expression changed slightly, does it have anything to do with your election? If you don't withdraw from the election, will the Mahists be in danger? Zhang Luli is not clear about these things in the political world. But I have never eaten pork, and I have seen pigs running away. She has read a lot of palace battles before. Sometimes, real-life battles are more exciting and complicated than novels. Not at all. Mo Shixia looked at her nervous look and smiled, there is no one who can pose a serious threat to the Mo family so far. No one dares to take action against the Mo family easily, because they knowing what the consequences are, they can't afford it. Only. Just what? Mo Shixia looked at her with his deep, dark eyes, it's just that if I were still alone, I wouldn't be afraid of anything. But now that I have you and our baby, many things can no longer be the same as before. So fearless. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2287. Chapter 2287. As long as I can protect you. Loli. He reached out and caressed the uninjured half of her cheek. Now, I will be scared. Even if the risk I have to take is very small, I don't dare to take it. I would rather sacrifice something, as long as it can protect you. For me, you and the children are the most important thing. He has been preparing for several years to participate in this election. He is bound to win that position. Every man has his own ambition, and his ambition is to sit in that position. If you hadn't met John Luli, if he is not married, his ambition will surely be realized. But since God has made some changes to his life trajectory, there are some things that he must let go regardless of whether he is really willing to let them go. Which is more important, ambition or family? In the past, Amo Shixia would feel that his future career was the most important. He doesn't even want to get involved in emotions because he doesn't want to waste time on such meaningless things. But now, there is something more important in his life. There is something far more important than his ambition and his future. Amo Shixia's gaze was very deep, as if he had penetrated into the depths of John Luli's eyes. There was a slight tenderness on the corners of his brows and eyes, and his voice was also gentle. I know what I am doing. Although I don't compete for that position. But it doesn't mean that I will live a life of early retirement in the future. I wanted to do something before, but if I chose it, I probably wouldn't have the chance to do it. In fact, it's good now. I can finally do what I want to do most, Amo Shixia said. When speaking, there was a relaxed and happy expression on his face. He seemed really happy. John Luli stared at him for a while. She could not help but feel relieved when she saw that he was really in a good mood and not just pretending. Honestly, if Amo Shixia was unwilling to quit, even if his actions moved her, John Luli would definitely feel particularly stressed. Because she would feel that she had delayed Amo Shixia's future. She was also afraid that one day Amo Shixia would regret it and blame her for this matter. What do you want to do most? John Luli blinked, expressing curiosity. What do you want to do most? Go to the Ministry of Justice and amend the law. John Luli was stunned for a moment, a little surprised. Amo Shixia never told her about this matter. Is he interested in justice? Amo Shixia looked down and saw the expression on her face and smiled. Are you surprised? Yeah, John Luli nodded. You never told me that you were interested in the judiciary. That's because you didn't ask. I will tell you anything you want to know. Okay, let's not talk about these things for now. Let's take care of the injury on your face first. You wait here for a while, I'll go get the medicine box. John Luli's face was still red and swollen. Amo Shixia quickly took the medicine box into the study. He took out the anti-swelling and anti-inflammatory plaster from the medicine box, squeezed it onto a cotton swab, and gently applied it to the injured part of her face. His movements were already very light. Just because I was afraid of hurting her. But even so, John Luli was still so painful that his whole body trembled. Amo Shixia's hand froze, and John Luli immediately felt a heavy and gloomy air emanating from his body, which made it difficult for her to breathe due to the pressure. John Luli. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2288. Chapter 2288. He can't let her down. She took a breath and raised her head, meeting a pair of equally gloomy, dark, cold eyes. Amo Shixia, it actually doesn't hurt that much anymore. I was just. Before she finished speaking, Amo Shixia held her hand tightly. I'm sorry. His voice was calm, with deep self-blame in his eyes, and he repeated what he just said in a hoarse voice. I'm sorry, Loli. I told you, it has nothing to do with you. John Luli grabbed his hand. You don't have to say sorry to me. If you really feel guilty, you can do something else to make it up to me. What's the matter? Mo Shixio asked immediately. Zhang Luli rolled his eyes, thought for a while, and said with a smile, I suddenly remembered that I haven't eaten the food you cooked. How about you cook me a meal? Mo Shixio must be someone who has never touched Yang Chun Shui. I guess I have never been in the kitchen since I was a child. Zhang Luli actually just said it casually and didn't really want him to cook for him. Okay, I'll cook for you, the man agreed and asked her, what do you want to eat? Zhang Luli. No, he really wants to cook for her. Would he do it? Can the cooked food be eaten? Of course, it was not easy for Zhang Luli to ask him directly. She is sincere and behaves so positively, and if this is really her first time cooking, she won't be easily offended. So Zhang Luli looked into his eyes and thought for a while, and then asked, do you really want to cook for me? Of course, if you want me to go, I'll go. Then can you cook? She asked seriously. I saw Mo Shixio stunned for a moment. This minister, who has always been calm, confident, and seemingly sure of everything, rarely encountered difficulties in something. For a moment, I didn't know how to answer. The man with the handsome face was silent for about a full minute, then shook his head honestly, no. He has never cooked before. Where can I cook? But I can learn very quickly. Mo Shixia was afraid that his little wife would be disappointed with him, so he hurriedly added, it must not be difficult to cook. I can ask the chef to teach me. Tell me what you want now, whatever you want to eat, I'll learn this dish right away. Some of the most difficult things in the eyes of ordinary people have not troubled him. Mo Shixia felt that something as simple as cooking a meal couldn't be that difficult. No matter how. Since his little wife has made demands on him, he must satisfy her. He couldn't let her down, couldn't let her think that his life skills were so poor that he couldn't even cook. Mo Shixia was very concerned about his image with Zhang Luli. Zhang Luli rarely took the initiative to make any requests from him. Now in this situation again, Mo Shixia felt that even if her request was for stars in the sky, he would have to find a way to pick them down for her. Zhang Luli saw that he was so positive and couldn't bear to dampen his enthusiasm. He thought about it and then said, then let's make tomato omelette noodles. It was Mo Shixia's first time cooking, and she didn't want to embarrass him too much. Zhang Luli felt that he should be able to learn a simple dish like tomato omelette noodles that everyone can make. And no matter how unpalatable it is, it won't be too unpalatable. You want to eat this? Well, I want to eat this. Nothing else. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2289. Chapter 2289, Lost to a bowl of tomato omelette noodles. No more, I want to eat this now. Okay. Mo Shixia curled his lips and reached out to gently rub the top of her hair. Just wait, I'll do it for you now. Asterisk. Zhang Luli thought she had chosen the simplest one, and Mo Shixia could do it no matter what. But she was wrong. Her husband, who is omnipotent and almost omnipotent, was defeated by a bowl of tomato omelette noodles for the first time. Mo Shixia was studying very seriously. The chef also taught me carefully. But when the finished product was finished, he still had to admit that humans could not be omnipotent. No matter how powerful a person is, he can easily handle things that ordinary people find difficult, but he was actually troubled by a simple bowl of tomato omelette noodles. The eggs in the bowl were fried to a charcoal black color visible to the naked eye. The noodles were overcooked, and soon after they were taken out, they became mushy in the bowl, like dough. He looked at the bowl of omelette noodles that had no appearance at all, picked up some noodles with his chopsticks, and took a bite. Then, the man's brows furrowed and his eyes showed dissatisfaction. Mo Shixio swallowed the little noodles in his mouth with great difficulty. After a few seconds, he dropped his chopsticks, turned around, his cold, dark eyes narrowed, and his voice sounded unhappy. What's going on? Why did the noodles I made look like this? Which step did I fail to make? Do it well. This. The chef, who has won many international awards, was stared at so hard that cold sweat broke out on his forehead, and he said hurriedly, "Sir, those steps are indeed correct. Maybe it's just that the time and heat were not controlled well. To be honest, asking an international chef to teach him how to make tomato omelette noodles is definitely overkill. The chef can naturally make a bowl of tomato omelette noodles. Of course, I have absolute confidence to teach Mo Shixio. After all, it's just a bowl of noodles, and there's no way to talk about cooking skills." The chef didn't expect that Mo Shixio would cook the noodles like this. The whole bowl of noodles looks terrible. It's like everything is mixed into a ball, the dough is mushy, the tomatoes are rotten, and it looks terrible anyway. Mo Shixio stared at the bowl of noodles he had just cooked and frowned. "Didn't you control the time and heat well?" "Yes," the chef said respectfully, "as long as you master these 2 points, you will be fine. In fact, this bowl of noodles is not that bad. It is very rare for you to cook like this for the first time." The chef went against his conscience and flattered him. "Besides, this is a meal cooked by the gentleman for the young lady. I think the appearance and taste are secondary. It is extremely rare for the gentleman to have such a heart. No matter what you make, this way, the young lady will like it. Since you want to do it, you must do it well." Mo Shixio took the bowl of noodles and poured it into the trash can. "I will do it again." Mo Shixio stayed in the kitchen for a long time. So long that Zhang Luli, who was waiting for him, could no longer sit still. Because Mo Shixio had been making a bowl of tomato omelette noodles for more than an hour. "Not ready yet." Zhang Luli came down from upstairs, and as soon as he walked into the hall, he saw several maids standing on one side talking quietly. Everyone has a very envious expression on their face. "Sir, you are so kind. Since you have cooked for the young lady, is this your first time cooking? Only the young lady can be treated like this." "What's this, madam? Didn't you say that the gentleman is doing it for the sake of the young madam?" End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2290. Chapter 2290. I must love this woman very much. Have you all withdrawn from this general election? I never believed that there was real love in this world before, but now, I believe it. If you can do this for a woman, you must love her very much. Young madam is so lucky to be married to a man like Mr. The Mo family is known for their love affairs, and the second young master is also very kind to the second young madam. Yes, the second young master and the second young madam have a very good relationship. Do you think the madam has really severed ties with the sir? Well, I think the sir and the young madam are a good match. The young madam's family background is not that good. Well, she is pregnant with her husband's child now. Why does the madam insist on breaking them up? What madam cares most about is family background. She was also very dissatisfied with the second young madam before. If the second young madam's real family background was not that she was a daughter of the Bai family, maybe madam would have made a fuss. But fortunately, the husband is protecting the young madam. Yes, otherwise, the young lady will really suffer a lot. MRSMO slapped Zhang Luli today. This is something everyone knows. MRSMO also scolded Zhang Luli many unpleasant words. Zhang Luli has a good temper and never puts on any airs, so everyone in the house actually likes her. These bodyguards and maids usually have a good relationship with her. When she was wronged, many people wanted to stand up and help her. But I don't dare. But in my heart, I felt sorry for Zhang Luli. Several people discussed for a while, and suddenly someone noticed Zhang Luli standing at the top of the stairs. He quickly winked at the others, then turned around and called out respectfully, "Young madam." Several other talents noticed Zhang Luli and turned around to call her respectfully. Zhang Luli nodded towards them. "Is Mo Shixiu still in the kitchen?" At first, when people here heard her calling Mo Shixiu by her first name, they thought she was very courageous and did not understand the rules. Now, I am used to it. "Yes, sir is still in the kitchen." "Still in the kitchen?" Zhang Luli frowned, with doubt in his eyes. "What is he still doing in the kitchen after so long?" she said as she walked towards the kitchen. As soon as he walked to the kitchen door, he saw Mo Shixiu taking out the noodles from the pot. "The noodles are steaming hot just out of the pot." "Sir, you've done a great job." The chef on the side looked at the tomato omelette noodles that had been cooked for the 5th time, and wanted to persuade Mo Shixiu to give up. "Facts prove it. There is indeed no omnipotent genius in this world. As a human being, there are bound to be some shortcomings. Mo Shixiu was destined to be incapable of achieving any level of cooking skills. But I don't think it's possible." Mo Shixiu frowned. "It seems the noodles are too soft, the taste is too salty, I'd better make it again." Mo Shixiu said, picking up the bowl of noodles and preparing to pour it out. "Mo Shixiu, haven't you done everything? Why are you throwing it away?" Zhang Luli called out to him and quickly walked into the kitchen. She asked why he could stay in the kitchen for so long while cooking a bowl of noodles. It turned out that he had dumped a lot of it. Zhang Luli quickly walked to his side. She saw the bowl of noodles in his hand. It didn't look very good, but it wasn't bad either. She took the bowl over and said, "I think this bowl of noodles is quite good. No need to throw it away. I've been waiting for a long time and I'm hungry. Let's go out quickly." As she spoke, she handed the bowl to a maid. "Take it to the dining room." End of this chapter.